Hello everyone, I'm Gus, aka Gustifer here on YouTube and over on Twitch. Jumping right in, I wanted my calendar page for this month to be a colorful yet pastel sunset with a snowy landscape. I made sure to reflect my sunset colors onto the snow below. I will say that a lot of my colors were not blending super well since they're mostly different brands of highlighters, but I'm still really happy with how this one turned out. For my header text, I wrote December in a bubbled font and made this pop out with adding snow on top of the letters to make them appear a little more 3D. I originally tried to make the header gray, but decided it needed more contrast from the background, so I went in with a gold paint marker. I kind of wish I had a more copper tone gold, since a lot of my gold gel pens and this paint marker have a green tone to them, which just comes off as kind of muddied in color. And here my Posca pen blew up, which is kind of pretty standard for these acrylic markers, so I used that to my advantage and I added more snow around the page. My main reason for doing a landscape for this page was so that I could use this tree sticker. I added paint on top of the tree as well to make it fit in a bit more. For my Promise Point page, I went ahead and continued to use my gold acrylic marker. So for this spread, I wanted to do something a little more holiday related, so I made my daily boxes these little gift boxes, And I did use my mild liner highlighters since they're a bit more on the pastel side and it's easier to write on top of them instead of more vibrant highlighters such as the Sharpie highlighters. On the spread, I also wanted to include my habit tracker and the quote, "The future depends on the present." This is also what inspired me to make my adjacent dailies the little gift boxes. I thought this quote was pretty relevant since our future habits depend on the habits we form right now in the present. And at the bottom of the page, I paired another quote, "You determine your own success," along the bottom to reinforce this idea. I ended up going back and filling in the empty boxes under the trackers with a color code so that I can schedule out what days I'll be doing certain habits since I don't do all of my habits every single day and I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing them on the correct days and actually completing them. For this month's art page, I drew a Yule goat. The Yule goat was a gift bringer in Scandinavian and Northern European culture as a part of the original Christmas tradition during Yuletide. Some traditions say that the Yule goat was the one that would distribute the presents, and in other cultures, the tradition goes that there are elves or gnomes or trolls that distribute the gifts while the Yule goat simply carries them, somewhat like the reindeer in Santa. It was during this drawing that my phone started to run out of battery in space, so there are some skips in the process, I'm afraid. For this page, I started out with a basic outline since I knew how many boxes I wanted before adding some decoration to liven the page. I added some mistletoe to match the Yule goat and went in with my gold pen to add some basic flourishes. And for this spread, we will erase the outlines and do something entirely different because why not? Finally, for my big spread that I've been waiting to do for months now, I wanted this big pine tree in the middle popping out of the page via a Dutch door and some garlands. After much debate with myself, I ended up using watercolor for this spread. I got this really cool travel set from Walmart a while back, and it does have a pretty good variety of colors in it. So I can't wait to experiment with it on actual art pieces a bit more in the future. I wanted to keep some kind of texture on the tree via brush strokes and color variation. I then made more garlands to go on the now colored tree. One thing I didn't account for though was the watercolor warping the paper. So it meant the way I glued the tree up was a little more difficult. For this final spread, I wanted it to be pretty basic since it's the end of the year and I don't want anything fancy. Um, I am using some Winsor & Newton gold ink, and I've never used this product before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I really love that you can do thin coats or pack it on to be more opaque. And here is my final flip through of December's bullet journal setup. I super love how my final calendar page turned out. I love how the mistletoe turned out with the metallic gel pens. I didn't really do too much with this spread since I need a lot of space. And I did not wait for my ink to dry, so that ended up pretty smudged. I'll keep that in mind for the next time I use the ink. Or I may need to use some sort of like thicker watercolor paper so it'll soak up the ink a bit more. Without further ado, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Make sure you're staying safe and healthy this holiday season, and I hope to see you in the next one.